But even more than that, and this is the advice that I think is the best advice, but it's also hard advice, which is, if it never changes, are you okay in your relationship with God? And I would say that to anybody. That's for any stage of life.
What do we say, family? Welcome to Simplexity, little podcast. We take seemingly complex matters and attempt to make them plain and simple. My name is Sammy Foster. Join with, I'm just checking things
You're
out.
doing a once-over. You look good.
Just making sure the fit is right,
Yeah.
and I'm vibing. But I'm sitting here with the Smart Brothers.
Yeah.
The Smart Brothers. Wright Brothers.
Yeah.
John and Boots.
Yeah.
Great to have you guys.
Good to be here.
Yes, it's good. And I like your socks.
Hey, thank you. I messed it up during the intro there, so.
You messed what up?
You messed what
I
up?
accidentally kind of like rubbed it down, and I had to try and pull it back up. And
I was at this event the other night. I don't know if you caught this, Boots. Boots and I had the wonderful opportunity to go see Dr. Ben Carson
Just us.
with about 300
old
others.
friend of yours.
I was within.
Oh, yeah, you could touch him.
Yep, I did.
Yep.
I didn't.
Yep. He said, did you?
I didn't.
Oh, I would have given him an old black back slap. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Back slap.
All right, you were saying.
Nevertheless,
I don't think I want to be on this podcast.
where is this going? No
On the
way.
table.
That's real raw cut. But he got up on the stage and he was wearing that navy suit, but he had real big calves. Sometimes when you sit down and your pants don't have a lot of break in them, your suit pants, that is. Connor, you hear it? I'm teaching you something, son.
These
Listen,
are the
boy.
nuggets.
But his,
I feel like I'm listening to Mr. Paul right now. Literally. This corresponds to advice he has given me.
but his pants rode up because he had big calves.
Yeah.
And he had real high socks.
Okay.
But when he got up, they never fell back down.
Oh.
Did you see that?
Is this the guy who did the opera singing, you mean?
No, certainly not.
Oh, the guy.
He had a wonderful suit on.
Okay.
This was the other gentleman, and he administered a gift or a plaque or something.
Okay.
I don't recall. But his pants stopped mid
No,
calf.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. It was a bit of a fashion faux pas. Anyway, I was just drawing attention to that. And it seems like you might be suffering from the same
The
plight.
same malady.
Needless to say.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
Please.
Better start quickly.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
So, the rationale behind this episode, correct,
Yeah.
is we're in the middle of a marriage series here
Yeah.
at the church, or I guess we just concluded it based off of release time. However,
Yeah, don't timestamp it or anything.
okay. Well, this episode in particular is because you wanted to talk through singleness, right? But
Yeah.
the series itself did not allow for.
Well, it's not that the series didn't allow for it. It's that Sammy did speak to singleness in regards to the red flags and, dating and all that. But the more that I talk to people that are single, this conversation came up several times, where essentially it was, hey, we've heard it all before, to some extent. I've heard the singleness sermon before. I've heard what else you got?
Who said that?
I'm not going to name names, but definitely Becca. Among others, where it was sort of, hey, what is there anything else? And so the thought process was, maybe if we were to sort of work through it in a more conversational form,
Yes.
that would lend itself more to be helpful and practical and maybe more insightful than just sort of a sermon that you have to very one-sided and
Yes.
one-dimensional and all that. So that was really the heart behind it, was maybe to come at this from a little bit more of an approachable angle.
I think that's beautiful. And that lends to the question. Beck, do you have a hot mic over there?
I do.
Oh, good.
Oh,
hey. Hey. Well,
Is this
then,
where I give my dating profile?
hey, we could start there.
Yeah, we're building a Christian mingle
Totally.
throughout this podcast.
So I want you to weigh in on this.
I will.
Because you got a lot to say about it. And I think that it's very rich and very good. Nevertheless, John, when you approach the matter of singleness, as you've done several times before, one is I love it because you're very thorough, you're very sensitive, and you try to argue, not argue, but really speak from both sides. One who really engaged and you sort of led our singles ministry for a while, if there was such a thing.
Yeah, young adults.
Young adults. And then having now been married for how long?
11 years.
11 years. Come on, somebody.
Yowza.
And 11 years, 4 kids, going strong.
Yeah.
Got a little brood over there. Nevertheless, you are sensitive to, and this was somewhat of a conviction of yours that we would weave this in this marriage series.
Yeah.
I want to know why.
2 reasons. One is because I feel like there can be this assumption in a number of evangelical churches that if you are not married, then you're essentially JV. And so now this is almost never explicitly said, but it can be very implicitly said, where it's a lot of talk of families. There's the assumption that you're married. There's especially as the church becomes more established.
Right.
And there just tends to be a gravitational pull towards couples and families. And there can just sort of be this assumption you haven't really arrived until you're married.
Absolutely.
And so that is, for our church, the best metrics that we have, that a little more than half is married and the rest is single. And so that's a big part of the church to just assume is not there, or just assume everybody's on the same page when many are not.
Absolutely.
And so that was one part of it. The other part of it is I feel like Christian singles get a lot of really bad advice.
Yep.
And I thought that'd be a little bit of a fun way to open it, would be bad advice that I think either I've heard or I've heard given or someone has received in regards to singleness. Like here's an example. Stop being so picky.
Oof. Terrible.
Which is, again, terrible advice.
Yeah.
Because, all right, so basically you're telling someone you want to get married, but you're not married. Just lower your standards.
Yeah.
Which we preach against all the time.
Exactly.
Like that was the
100%.
whole red flag sermon.
That's the reason for most of the plight that we see right now.
Definitely.
Is low standards. So we do a lot of ministry in the context of marriage that could have been avoided had people been more picky.
Yeah.
So I would reverse that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Oh, I hear it all the time.
People tell you you're being too picky.
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow.
That, or they tell me the opposite. They're just not good enough for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to push back on it slightly
I like it. I like it.
because I agree with you shouldn't lower your standards as far as, what you're looking for as far as values or personality, even looks to a degree. Like, you got to be attracted to them. But I will say I was very, very, very picky, like, throughout my early dating era. I'm walking a line here.
You're on a knife's edge, my friend.
I know.
You didn't have to step into this.
I've got it. Don't worry. I've got my hand on the steering wheel.
You want to hold mine?
10 or 2?
Here's the thing, though.
Okay. Come on.
I received very good advice from a pastor friend of mine, and he said,
Not Sammy.
no. He said, the thing you got to keep in mind is there is no golden woman out there. There's no standard. There's no perfect, person. Now, it turns out he was wrong because I met Hannah.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say.
But-
She should have been more
Oh,
picky.
Mama Ruth would
I know.
Mama Ruth would debunk that rule.
I'm just saying there's a line there of if I can find a single flaw in them, that caters to my own insecurity of I need to find a reason that I can reject them before maybe I get rejected. So like
Fair.
there's something there of, yes, don't lower your standards of just settle for someone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't have your standard be perfection necessarily, or you'll never find that person.
Well, I agree with you, and I agree in part to your pushback. What I would argue is I don't like the counsel of don't be so picky.
Yeah.
I like the counsel of let's establish a good standard.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of the sometimes, when it comes to the home in which you were raised in, the functionality in which you saw the marriage before you exemplified in, whether or not you come from a two-parent household, all of that can create a major dysfunction in perspective, in understanding, in standard establishment, all of that. And so it is really important that for someone that's following Jesus, they have a right standard. And then that standard may need to be deconstructed a little bit to think, to communicate you're being far too idealistic. That type of man, woman does not exist. So in that case, you ought not be so picky because you're looking for a unicorn and they're not out there. Mm-hmm. But for what I would argue is in the way of pickiness and what have you, many times, actually 30% of marriages end as a result of unknown and unmet expectations. Meaning that couples go into a marriage and they don't understand, number one, I didn't know you were expecting that. And number two, I was expecting this and you didn't provide that. All of that should have been hashed out in the way of what your standard is, what you want, what you believe that God has called you to, what you believe you deserve. All of that could have been a precursory preparation that got you into where this whole idea around expectation was not so missed, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that should be part of the conversation on the front end. That's why I think singleness should be viewed as a season of real devotion. Devotion to Jesus, devotion to understanding you, alignment of purpose and identity, all of those things that then set you up for success in marriage. And so, like often said, and it's a bit cliche, it's not a wasted room. The waiting room is not a wasted room. Have you ever heard that?
I don't think
I just made that up.
People are telling me.
But it is not a wasted season if you steward it rightly. And I'm going to tell you right now, I got a whole new view of the season of singleness, now having been married 25 years, and the wreckage that I witness in marriages having pastored for as long as I did. Yeah. It is so important. And culturally, we have so misappropriated that season that really you could argue that 30% that ends in divorce is because people rushed away from loneliness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they did not do the preparation that was required.
So clearer expectation.
Yep.
Having an established standard that you don't shy away from.
Absolutely. That marrieds weigh in on, not just your girlfriends that are single.
Yeah, because then that is how you have a realistic standard that you can hold the line on.
Yes.
But that's why I pushed back. What's another
and I think that's totally accurate. It's not, perfection, to your point. But for those convictions, don't drop the conviction to run away from loneliness, because it's rough to be single and lonely. It's even worse to be married and lonely because you drop those standards. Mm-hmm. So,
are you running to something or running from something?
Or running the Bay Bridge 10K that got canceled.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
very much so. Yes.
Another piece of bad advice, I would say. Now, all of these, to your point,
and I just agree
in case you just keep pushing back on me, all of these are a little true and a little not true. It depends how extremely you take it. Mm-hmm. But another one I've heard said, if you just get content in God, then he'll send you somebody. Almost like it's a means to an end of, let me, like, I see how happy I am, God, being single.
Yeah.
Now
I
can I
don't need
please get
anyone.
married?
Yeah.
like you're trying to fake him out.
Right.
And so that whole, I've seen that one before, heard that one before.
That's like when you're trying to fall asleep and you pretend to be asleep to like trick your body
Yeah,
into being
exactly.
asleep. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way.
No.
Yeah. It's like a means to an ends type thing.
Yeah.
Um,
What's
But
the true piece to that?
I have heard that. Once you're satisfied in him, he will then give you the desires of your heart. That is manipulation. It's spiritual manipulation. It's often then this contrived contentment, and really that was birthed out of that was largely birthed out of the purity culture. That was a big thing that since then, Josh Harris back in the day wrote a book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye, where it was this encouragement to really avoid dating and adopt courtship, of where every relationship was viewed as the possibility for marriage, and you don't engage in relationships until you are from the front end, before you even go on your first date, until you determine that could possibly be marriage material. The problem with that is that a lot of people adopted that because it was, at Josh Harris's own admission, it became cult-like. Now, he's since deconstructed his faith, so let's not put a lot of weight on Joshua. But
Joshy.
what that did create was this this avoidance of dating, this adoption of courtship. The problem is, many times you determine if somebody's marriage material while you're dating them.
Yeah.
So to avoid that altogether is very bizarre.
Do you feel like that, not forced, but that led to not incompatible marriages, but just marriages that had it been a little more natural and a little less forced, they would have broken it off, but it felt like you're already committed at the beginning? Do you know what I'm saying?
Very much
Do you feel
so.
like that sort of pigeonholed people into relationships?
Very much so, but it wasn't just that. There was also contributing elements. That is, the environment in which people were courting was arguably very cult-like.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of onlookers and accountability that surrounded those relationships that were then pressuring those relationships. So it wasn't just the autonomous nature of the relationship of where you felt like, I don't know if I'm jibing and vibing with this guy, gal. It was those around you that were really commending this idea of persevere and we vote for and all of this, and it got very, very wonky.
Yeah.
Ruth and I, when we first got married, now this is that we were then introduced to what was the Sovereign Grace movement, that ministry that like thousands of young adults were part of.
Yeah.
This took large part in Gaithersburg, Maryland, at the Sovereign Grace Church, and so we would go out there once a month, and it was like, I mean, if you were single, that's where you went. But if you were newly married, it was also really rich in just Christian community and other young married couples. But the further we got into it, the more we realized, wait a minute, whoa. This is that whole culture of, because truth be told, if Ruth was in that before I met her, she would have never stuck with me.
She would have been too picky.
They would have voted me off the island a long time ago. So it was a good thing we went there married. I had already hooked her.
It was too late, as it were.
Yeah.
She wasn't looking for red flags.
No. She was getting ready to wave the white flag. But yeah, so that's what happens, and they would very much commend the idea, once you are satisfied in Jesus, he will then give you the desires of your heart. And so it was trickery.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to trick God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody was acting content while being like, okay.
Am I content enough?
Is there any singles around here?
Have I been content long enough?
Trying to be incog. Okay, what's another one?
Here's the last one I thought of, and then any that you've heard, Becca, is
It's the same one.
Yeah, just serve more.
Oh.
Which would be, sometimes the assumption is, hey, if you're single, you don't have a lot going on, so you can just keep serving. Now, again, there is part of that can be true, where Paul said, part of the gift of singleness, which we could also talk about, is you're somewhat free from entanglements. So there is an opportunity to invest either wholeheartedly or there's more flexibility in some cases. So there's a part of it that's true, but sometimes churches truly can use and abuse the single people in the church just because they think, well, you got nothing going on. Meanwhile, if you are single, there's a lot of gaps and seams in life that you have to cover yourself because there isn't a partner to be there. There is no one to help with dinner. There is nobody to help, when you get sick, there's nobody to come alongside in that. So it's not just a free open calendar. There's weights and struggles that need to be picked up. And so sometimes I've seen there's a real lack of sensitivity, especially when there's a lot of families in the church and there's just an assumption, well, the single people can do that.
Right.
So it can lead towards burnout or taking singles for granted.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
I
Would
do.
you agree?
I think that being a single, sometimes we're often forgot in like those big moments because couples will get recognized. Oh, you got married, you had a kid, you had this, and they just often forget about this thing. Like from my point of view,
Yeah.
you're often forgotten about like, oh, you did this. Let's celebrate that with you, but it's not some big moment, so you're like pushed to the side.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like we get just kind of forgotten about, and it's like, hey, just because I don't have a husband doesn't mean I'm not doing things that
That's right.
should be recognized or should be, like you're not important until you get married. And so
Yeah.
that I feel that weight sometimes. Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think about that one, Boots?
I agree.
Here he goes again.
Oh boy.
You need a contrarian, don't you? No, I don't disagree with anything that you said because I fully attest to the almost second-class citizen culture that I feel like even in the church, it's probably worse in the church than it is outside of the church, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Of like you're not a real player until you're married. And so I think about that. Two examples come to mind for me. One, the people who did it well for me. Like I think about my friend Jordan, who I just visited a couple weeks ago. Jordan. He's a pastor in Tennessee now, but he's been one of my closest friends for a long time. He's 10 years older than me, something like that.
Okay.
And
Is Jordan 10 years older than you?
I think so, roundabout.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
But he's someone who has, because of that age gap, has been considerably further along than me in stages of life, whether that's, marriage. He's got 3 kids now. Throughout those phases, he always treated me as a peer, as an equal.
Yep.
He treated me as not less than because I'm not at the same stage of life as him.
Okay.
And he would even invite me into, hey, weigh in on this. Hey, I'm getting ready to marry Rachel, and hey, I've been married for however many years. Like, let's talk through this issue that I'm experiencing or this tension that I'm experiencing. Let me celebrate with you as an equal, as a peer, as a friend. And I always felt included in it, and like not only that, but my insight was valuable despite the fact that I didn't have any experience to the things that he was talking about. I could still weigh in on it freely, and he could weigh in on my situation. At the same time, there are the people, and I'm not going to name names, but it's like, well, you'll understand when you're married, buddy. And it's just like this condescension. So I say all that to say, I attest to the reality of it. I attest to what you guys are saying. My question is, how do we combat that? Like, as the church, how do we not just address that as a cultural problem, but how do we overcome it and truly celebrate people and not just, try to bring them up to whatever, but
I think part of it comes from recognizing, I read this, in studying for this series, I read this really helpful quote where this woman who had been single for her whole life said, because, part of the ironic part of this is all three of us are married. So we're all talking about singleness, all three of us are married. And this woman said, the hard part about being single, part of it is married people think they understand because they used to be single. And so there's this like, hey, I get it. Her point was, number one, it's not the same as it used to be.
Right.
That the dating culture nowadays,
Fly.
can you relax, please? The dating culture now is different than it was.
Totally.
Online dating, all of that. It's a little bit, that makes it more difficult. But two, she also made the point, to be single in your teens is different than being single in your 20s versus your 30s versus your 40s.
It's good.
That sometimes there's just sort of, oh yeah, I remember being single before I was married. But it's very different based on stage of life and interacting in the culture as it is currently.
Yeah.
So I think an understanding of that, like to the point about the condescension of, hey, you'll get it. Sometimes part of this for me is recognizing I don't fully understand because I have been married 11 years and I haven't been single during various stages. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking a lot.
Let me weigh in, Beck, and then you tell me.
Yeah.
It's been my experience, and to affirm what you just said, it's been my experience that when Ruth and I, in the past, when we were doing much more premarital counseling and what have you, when we would do premarital counsel with singles that had met, they're engaged, they're ready to be married, but they're in their early 20s, late 20s.
Yeah.
That was considerably different when we were doing premarital counsel with couples that were in their late 40s, where they had spent arguably a decade being single.
Yeah.
To do the pre-marriage counseling with those, the disparity of age within those couples was so different.
Yeah.
Why? Because one, the longer you're single, the more settled in it you become.
Yeah.
That there's then this independence, there's then this raised standard.
Yeah.
You're not looking to run games anymore. Once you're settled, you're content, but yet you're open to what the Lord may have for you, or you do want a companion, you do want romance. It's different. You're not so idealistic in your older years that you were in your. So Ruth and I would be sort of deconstructing expectations and idealism with this.
Yeah.
While the older couple, we were trying to build them.
Yeah.
Like it can be awesome and it can be great. You
Yeah.
know, they were almost like, sort of reserved. Like neither one of us know if we really want this. Yeah, there would be some of that type of scenario, but they were in love. And so it does go to your point about singleness. The older you get becomes different.
Yeah.
And it should be treated different. And, they don't carry the same mentality. And so it should be spoken to different, understood different. And if you don't understand it, just please be reserved in your stereotyping of it.
Yeah.
Of which I think commonly happens, where we just get very compartmentalized of there's singles and then there's the married.
Yeah.
Well, there's range within. Would you agree, Beck?
No, totally. As I've gotten older myself, I'm like, you're right. There's more independence that comes. You're like, okay, I got to take care of myself. This is what it is. I'm not just dating to date. Like, I'm serious. I want to find someone. But then if you don't let those walls come down when you're in that area of dating, then you can push people away too. So
Right.
you've got to look at, a single person as what age range are they in? What's their maturity level? Where's their heart at? Because it's very different for me versus an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to Beck's situation, let me speak to that specifically, because one thing about Beck, and I would say,
gosh.
hang with me, I'm going somewhere good with this girl,
Okay.
Want to hold my hand?
is that Beck, and I think that Beck is, I'm using her as a reference to many others within Lighthouse Church. This is our small community of singles that I know. They have really treated their singleness with an intentionality and a stewardship.
Yeah.
So it's with Beck that I'm like, any dude that you meet, I want first eyes on. I want to size up. Why? Because the due diligence has been there.
Yeah.
And being prayerful and careful and has stewarded, hey, I want to mature in my identity, my purpose, my calling, what God would have for me. That is not to be compromised after you've done all the labor.
Yeah.
Then just because somebody comes along, that's a whole thing. And that's why I would commend that stewardship is the highest priority of singleness. And that stands against the culture in which we live, which is, hey, hookup culture, no defined standard. The boxes that you're checking are so shallow in some situations. You're quick off the gate. You take all the goodies up front and then you hope that it works out on the back. It's just a terrible, terrible societal fabric that we've created when it comes to the dating scene, the single scene, the hookup scene, that Christendom stands in stark contrast. So much so that even though, I'm going to go all the way back to what Josh Harris said about where he has came out passionately and he is constantly apologizing, even to present day. Like he took all of his books that he wrote concerning courtship, concerning purity culture, and all of this. I mean, he took them off the shelves, he discontinued them, he deconstructed his faith. And I look now and I go, not everything about the purity culture was wrong.
Sure.
It was beautiful in so many ways. It had elements of it that was cult-like, that was legalistic, that was condemning. And if you didn't do it like this, well, then you're starting off, behind the 8 ball, which totally stands in the face of the gospel. It was really weird, but there should be a renaissance of purity culture. Of, hey, I'm going to steward my singleness because I'm going to view it as a gift, and that's not something that I'm going to use to manipulate myself in feeling better about singleness, but I'm really going to believe the word of God and what Paul said. I'm going to look at the life of Jesus, that he was single, and I'm really going to cherish this season and steward it so that I beat the statistics and I can live happily ever after. But I'm going to steward so into it. But that requires purity. Yeah. And so you can try to deconstruct it all you want, and of which Josh Harris has attempted. I stand by it. I think it's biblical and true.
We really came full circle, didn't we? Talking about how weird it was, and now you're going to write a book. I also kissed dating goodbye. It's just his book with your name.
I'm in the hat.
Was he in a hat on the cover?
Yeah,
he should have known right there.
Yeah, little fedora.
No, I totally agree. Though there was aspects of it. Not that was a little before my time, but there's aspects of it that were healthy. To your question, Cam, how do we sort of shift that JV thing? Here's what's really interesting. For the first 1,500 years of church history,
here we go.
Singleness was seen as the desirable
varsity.
Spiritual. That was varsity. And married people was kind of, you sold out. That's how they viewed it. It wasn't until old Martin Luther, old Marty Lou, came along that he really sort of championed, and I think brought balance to the view of it. But now it's the reverse. So you have this sort of lopsided picture where for 3/4 of church history, it's been singleness is the best. Now, for the last 500 years, it's been no, married is the best. Whereas both present gifts, challenges, and opportunities. And so recognizing that, I feel, like Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he does say, there are advantages to being single. There is, you can leave it all on the field. There is sort of like this, you can be all in for however long God allows you to be so. Of course, there's caveats to that. as I already said. But Paul lists that because there's real benefits.
Yep.
So there's that aspect of it. The other thing that I think makes it so challenging is that church really was designed to be a family, not a country club for Sunday mornings where you sort of come together. And so where Jesus says in the Gospels, he says, hey, whatever you give up for the gospel, you're going to get 100-fold more. You give up fields, your family disowns you. You give up money, you give up opportunities. You'll get more fields, more family, more opportunities. He says, both here and in the age to come. Meaning, your family may disown you for following Jesus. You get a whole bigger family, which is the church.
Come on.
I think by and large, the American church has dropped the ball on that. So single people sometimes are like, hey, there's this family that's promised called the church that isn't really living up to its name, whereas culture is telling me I'll only be fulfilled if I'm in a romantic relationship. And so they sort of get stuck between a rock and a hard place. So recognizing that there is that gift of singleness, there is the benefits, and for the church to rise up to be the family it's called to be, I think those are two aspects that helps with that. Hey, you're just sort of JV.
And I like that because I feel like, at least in my experience, being single as of, less than a year, coming up on a year of marriage on the 6th of December. But I think that I didn't feel like a family member in the established family units of the church. Like the singles often feel like the awkward additional wheel rather than a cherished family member. Yeah. So like you think about people who have, either they're married or they have growing families. Like it's easier to be in community with those who are in the same phase of life as you. So, the people who have a small family, they want to hang out with the people who have a small family.
Yeah.
And then the singles kind of get edged out there. Where there could be a real benefit that both sides are missing out on, where,
Definitely.
The single gets to see and be in community with the growing family, but the growing family also gets to see and cherish the single who has a unique perspective and unique giftings and unique wisdom that they bring to the equation. We've compartmentalized ourselves, I think, where it's like, well, it's just easier to hang out because we have similar schedules right now because of this phase of life.
Yep.
Maybe we're missing out on an opportunity.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I would argue that I'm the beneficiary of that right there. When I was at Bible college, the lion's share of Ruth's friends were married couples. Dave and Gwen Cox, at the time, they just discipled her. She said she had a fixed place around their dinner table. They loved her. She saw so much of the family unit, through her lens at that time. And she came out of a really, really dysfunctional family. She also had friends, the Cars and the Ruprechts and all of this, where she was always, and never once did she say, I felt like a third wheel. Never once did I feel like I was on the outside looking in. I was part of the family. And the benefit that I gained from that is she saw something that she really aspired to. And so in so many ways, she aspired to become that. Yeah. And so they made a very concerted effort to pull her in. And I think sometimes what happens in church culture is it's largely done through, the reason singles feel left out is it's not intentional. It's actually a fallout of being unintentional, one. And two, it's also language. The emphasis of whether it's sermons, whether it's, talking points, examples, what have you, largely go to marrieds, because truth be told, marrieds are the ones that need all the work. Marrieds are where all the banged up people are. The singles, they got it figured out. And unfortunately, they just don't know it. So you give a lot of language, a lot of emphasis towards the marrieds, and then it's a result of being unintentional. And so I really like your testimony about Jordy and just pulling you in. But sitting here, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I actually am a beneficiary of I'm a benefit to people. It's good. It's good. And then, I'm looking at the clock. We don't need to end it now, but I say we do.
Okay.
Nevertheless, I want to say this. This is something that I've really.
Can I ask a question before you end it?
You sure?
Because don't you be sliding into "thank you so much, fam" before I get a
Yeah.
Please.
mash that subscribe.
Pull up.
Come on.
What you're gonna say? I just didn't want to lose my
Nope.
chance.
I'll save that.
What good advice would you give to singles?
Yeah. Hey. Well, that's going to segue perfectly. Boots, what's your good advice?
Oh, I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
Jordan.
Yeah, go see Jordan. Hang out with Jordan. Yeah.
Come on. You know something.
I'd have to think about
What did you do in your singleness?
Ready to mingleness.
I just did a lot of things wrong. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like
So
I overemphasized. I felt like for as much as you don't want to fake out your contentment, I feel like no matter what social context I went into, I was on the lookout, basically. I was sizing myself up to the competition. I was just, that was where I found my identity, I feel like, is my eligibility to be in a relationship. And I know that that's not the way to go. So I think you have to find your identity outside of your relationship status.
Come on. I agree with that.
So that would be
Absolutely.
what comes to mind immediately. I'm sure I could think of something better, but
Totally.
that was my struggle.
John, what you said this past Sunday, or not to timestamp this, but when you spoke about really the roles within marriage, you made a really great point speaking to the fact of, in essence, what marriage should be, the model that it should personify, is two people that are really just trying to outdo one another, outserve one another, out-sacrifice for one another. And that picture right there is really a result of two people that have their identity fixed outside of the relationship.
Yeah.
They know who they are. They know whose they are. They know the worth of how God sees them. Their identity is really secure. And really, when you get right down to it, and this is what I've learned about my own marriage, this is what I've learned about counseling other marriages, and this is what I've learned about gleaning from seasoned marriages, is that at the end of the day, marriage is very complex, but that's largely due to what we do to it. It's either going to be you're trying to get something from that relationship, or your mentality, moreover, is what I want to give that relationship. That has everything to do with the identity in which you enter the relationship.
Yeah.
If you set out two people that go, I just want to infuse life into this, man, that's going to be a rich companionship. Yeah. It's going to be life-giving. It's going to be encouraging. It's going to be when you're walking through the valley, man, you're arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder. But if you're always trying to get from it more than you're giving to it, man, that makes for a horrible relationship. Maybe not for you, because you're too dumb to understand it. True story. You think, oh, I'm getting everything I want. It's coming at the expense of somebody that whether they tell you or not, they're miserable because you're taking more from it than you're giving to it. That has a lot to do with how you see yourself as a single. If you multiply what you are, that's just a rule of life. When God said, eat, drink, be merry, enjoy the fruits of your labor within Eden, he said, take dominion, subdue the earth, and multiply. That principle is a universal principle of life. You multiply what you are. You could also argue you reap what you sow, but you reproduce what you are. In the context of marriage, if you go as a sower, you're going to reap a sower. And you're going to reap life. If you infuse life, you're going to get life. It's very, very simple. But that has everything to do about how you see yourself outside of. Because people with a busted identity or with a deep-rooted insecurity that doesn't get dealt with
Yeah.
on this side, you drag that into, and that's largely because you didn't steward singleness well. And you ran from loneliness thinking this is going to fix it.
Yeah.
It does not fix it. It actually multiplies it. So I think what you said is very right. And a lot of people, they find their identity in dating, in you know, their options, all of that. Man, that's a booby trap. That's going to get you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, for me, the advice I'd give two. One is, as you said, this is not a season to get through. This is a season to steward.
Yep.
To your point. Those who have navigated singleness well have seen it as a season in which they're stewarding. But even more than that, and this is the advice that I think is the best advice, but it's also hard advice, which is, if it never changes, are you okay in your relationship with God? And I would say that to anybody. That's for any stage of life.
Yep.
Because everybody's waiting for or looking for something. That's, what if you never get the job? What if you never have the kid? What if you never find the relationship? What if your ministry isn't fruitful? What if you never get the healing in that diagnosis? What if it never changes? Now you're getting to the real root.
Yes.
Because there's two ways to approach it. One is, what if I never get married? I can't think about it. That's too scary. I got to run.
Yep.
I think what Scripture would have us do, look right at that fear and see what's behind it.
It's good, John.
What if I never get married? Is God enough? Mm-hmm. One of the most powerful things I read, again, was this woman who had been single. At the time, she was either in her 60s or 70s, and she did not want to be single. And she said, hey, I've walked through this as someone who didn't seek this, but here I am in this. She said, and I just want to say to those that have that same fear, hey, what if this is my whole life? And again, this is universally applicable.
Yes.
But she quoted the end of Pilgrim's Progress. Are you reading Pilgrim's Progress? Have you read
I
it?
did.
You did? Have you read it?
That's the book that talks about the celestial
That's
city.
why I looked at it.
Yeah. Even though I don't think there's an R in
And
the
there.
celestial city.
Appreciate the tee up, John.
So anyway, at the end, spoiler alert, at the end, Pilgrim is crossing the waters of death. It's the dark waters of death. And he starts to go into it and he freaks out. That's what leads into heaven. But his friend is there, and his friend is hopeful. And hopeful says, hey, I can feel the bottom, and the bottom is good. And then Christian sort of regains himself, and he gets through the other side. And this woman who had been single her whole life and didn't really want to said, let me just say to those that are single right now, I have felt the bottom, and the bottom is good.
Wow.
And her point was, he's always been there. So even if it doesn't change or this or that, and again, you're not doing this to be like, if it never changes, I'm okay. Can I please have somebody now?
Yeah.
Like, that's not the point of it.
Sure.
But the point is, that's the lesson we learn over and over and over again throughout life.
Right.
Can I trust him? In single, I know it's a big topic, but in some ways, it's just another example of, do I trust he's a good dad? Do I trust he's a good father? Charles Spurgeon said, if any other situation would have been better for you, your father would have put you there.
Divine love would have placed you there.
Divine
That's
love
so
would have
good.
placed you there. Tim Keller, I think this was quoting John Newton, used to say, God will always answer our prayers as we would answer them if we knew everything he did. Meaning, we won't look back and go, he missed it. He
Yeah.
dropped the ball there. He always answers it exactly as we would if we knew everything he knew. Because he loves us.
Just I want to make sure we're very clear on what you just said. What you just said is a complete and pure and right and biblical and God-desiring paradigm of life. It's, I have everything I need for life and godliness.
Yeah.
As St. Peter would say, that his grace is sufficient for me, whether I have abundance or I have little. He is enough. His grace will sustain me. And it's not like you're gritting your teeth and suffering, and his grace is just preserving you while holding you there. No. He's still it still produces a sweet aroma of life, and you experience the blessing of knowing your Maker in an intimate way. But that right there, I was thinking back,
and it doesn't mean that you don't want things.
Certainly not.
It doesn't mean
But before you go too far in the wanting things, I was thinking, in this whole thing that we've been talking about, gratitude. I had this aha moment the other day where I realized, where I felt for me, and I felt for so much of humanity. This is going to sound like a macro idea, but when you get right down to it, more is killing us.
Yeah.
Everything in humanity. Now, this is probably very much exaggerated in the Western world. We are addicted to more.
Yeah.
In every arena. More plans, more experiences, more things, more clothes, more square footage, more kids, more opportunities, more money, more change, more agenda, more what am I going to do? What am I going to get? Where can we go? What can I eat? We're consumed with more. Here's my fear. I think we've even drugged that mentality into the church, where we preach to people that the promised land is found in the more that God has for you. Wait a minute. I really can't reconcile in Scripture, all the more through the writings of the apostles, through the gospel of the Gospels, I don't see anybody chasing more. I see them chasing him.
Yeah.
And I see them, Paul said, I've learned the key to life, and it's to be content whether I have abundance or I'm living in scarcity. I've found how to be satisfied right where I am. More literally is killing us. And our whole culture promotes this idea of here is not good enough. Singleness is not good enough. This is subpar. Your marriage is not good enough. You might need other options outside of to satisfy your soul. We've bought that. Why? Because culture says that's right and true and good. Your little home, that's not good enough. You need bigger. And your older car, because satisfaction is found in the more. And I believe that more that has been woven into the main arteries of our culture is truly killing us. And you know what happens? I sit often next to deathbeds. This is real talk. Never once have I heard somebody asking for more, with the exception of time.
Yeah.
I just want, the more is omitted from their vocabulary. There's not even a sense of it. They don't have any more plans, agendas, ideas, desires. All I want is those that I love. Sometimes that's an abundance of people because they stewarded well, and sometimes that's only one person, but I want more with them. I think we took the red pill, if you will, and we've thought, because just all I want is to raise your awareness to is think about how often your thoughts are bent towards more.
Yeah.
And the underneath thought is, if I get it, I get it. What if this is all there is?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what if my only more is sitting with you two fine gentlemen talking about
Is this
singles?
enough? Is this
Hey,
enough for you?
It's enough for me.
It's not for me.
Yeah, I need more guests.
Yeah, we got more episodes coming your way.
Smarts are enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul says godliness with contentment is great gain.
Great gain. Come on. So singles, we love you.
We do.
God has more in store for you.
Oh my gosh.
Just joking.
All righty. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. John, it's always a pleasure to have
Thanks
you
for
on.
having me.
It is.
You guys have changed some stuff since I've
You guys
been
have
here.
changed.
Yeah,
You guys are not how you used to be.
Yeah, what's wrong
I
with
like
you?
the old episodes.
We wanted more.
Yeah,
Yeah, we wanted more.
We wanted more.
You guys sold out.
All right, follow us on Spotify or Apple, and we'll see you guys next time.
Love you guys.